Okay, just testing. Everybody can hear me? Yeah. All right. So yes, this is methods of observing moths in Trinidad and Tobago, and this is not a history of observing moths in Trinidad and Tobago, but rather just my journey for the past 6 years, what I have been doing. All right, and I'll show discussion some person's attention here because it does not look like a moth. It looks like a wasp, and it is in fact a moth mimicking a wasp. So before we go ahead, anybody want to tell me how I can tell the difference between a moth and the wasp? All right, so one is the proboscis. Wasp will have like the mandibles, chewing parts. One side the antenna, yes, it has kind of like feather-like antennae. Anything else? Yeah. Right. So the next thing is that your eyes are looking a bit fuzzy. That's because it has a lot of scales covering its entire body, and the wasp is very smooth and kind of shiny. But these are really hard to observe. They fly during the day and then move really quickly. If you see that, you're almost gonna 100% guess it's a wasp, only because it's still, and I was able to get a macro picture. You could tell that it's a moth. All right, where it all started, a very simple method, night walks. And this is what we used for surveying reptiles and amphibians and a lot of nocturnal creatures on the whole. You survey by just taking a walk. And what you would see most of the times is the eye shine of nocturnal creatures. You see this bright reflection, and usually it's very orange and uniform. The only thing you might confuse it with is a spider. Spiders, if you look at them from one angle and they move, it might change, and also it might flicker because they have like 8 eyes. So yeah, right? Night walks allows a naturalist to observe the natural behaviors of moths, such as feeding, mating, puddling. And it can also point naturalists to strange food sources and attractants. So this here is puddling. You'll see it with butterflies as well. It's just when the moth or the butterfly is consuming water. You have to look very closely. You'll see a little projection there. That is the liquid leafing. Mating, it has no other way to see mating besides taking a night walk. And here we just cut a heliconia, and the liquids from the heliconia, that is what they are attracted to, which I didn't know. All right, the results of night walks. Many new records were made using night walks, though it's not certain why the records were not made before by conventional methods. And some attractants found on night walks include a variety of fruits, some that only attracted moths when fermented, diseased grass inflorescence, and plant/tree sap. So here we have the sap, we have a diseased grass inflorescence, and we have a fermented fruit. So you have the regular fruit here, and the fermented fruit will be kind of dried up, more dark in color. Right, these are just this slide and this presentation just going to hold out of pictures of moths. And you would see in a lot of these pictures, these are from night walk. So these are just walking through the forest and seeing moths. And 4 pictures, you'll see that the moths are on the side of the leaf. So this usually happens because moths move up to the moon. They use the moon to navigate and orientate itself. And anytime I see moths flying, they kind of spiral going up. And then they'll just land on a leaf, go on the other side, and just sit right over there. This also helps prevent them from being predated on by bats, which is their main predator at night. So again, this is a pretty uncommon species of witch moth, and you can only see it by taking a walk at night. And you get to see the female and the male. It's great for difficult species where you might think it might be a different species or something. This is a new record from Shakashikari Island, so a new country record recorded on Shakashikari Island. It's a prominent moth, and this is another witch moth that I suspect was in the area because of the plant, the tree sap, is also first for the island of Trinidad and Tobago. But I believe Mike saw it on Soldado Rock or something previously. So for the island is a new record. All right, fruit beating. Fruit beating is a method derived from night walks. So while you're taking your walk at night, you see them attracted to fruits, you could use that fruit and set a settle bait for them. It utilizes a variety of fruits to attract and comfortably photograph moths. A big thing for me is photographing the species, um, and ideally very closely, where you get all the details. That means I don't have to collect to identify, even though collecting is like the best way, the 100% guarantee to identify species. I would avoid it at all costs. So getting great pictures is my way of avoiding that. Right, the fruits are crushed into a puree. Water is added for ease of application. Fruit baits are set out right before dark on like leaves and at a comfortable height for the photographer. The method works best in flattened and windy terrain. The bait is left out for at least 30 minutes before being checked, because when you now set out the bait, the moths will be attracted to it. If you try to go to them and photograph them, they'll probably fly off. And yeah, photograph the moths from above and adjust your light settings to get the most accurate photographs. This is something you have to experiment with because everybody's phone and camera is different. The results of fruit beating. We had numerous rare, new, or a lot of the most moths that we got that were interesting, we couldn't identify. Though it has not been thoroughly investigated, some moths are attracted to particular fruits and whole fruits that have a lot of skin. Members of the fruit piercing moths conodonta, they prefer fruits with skin. So when I was crushing up the fruits and whatnot, I didn't get much of them, but you will see them on the whole fruits. Fruit beating attracted primarily Arabid moths, though it has the potential to attract species from the noctuid family. So like 99% was Arabid moths. This that was the only noctuid moth, and you could see that was attracted to the Uralinia. The skin played a part in that because I don't see that on my fruit beat. If I take Uralinia and squash it up right away, they're not coming to it unless it has a lot of skin. So obviously the pheromones from a ripe fruit is what sometimes may attract moths, and not just the sweetness of the pulp or anything. Right, and more pictures. So you can see how I like the organization of it, how it's all straightened and everything. You get to see all the details of it, because that is very, very, very important when identifying. So anybody can do this. This is the simplest thing you could do. Take fruit, crush it up. You can see I use like barley leaves and whatnot. Have it at a comfortable, usually like wayside, and then you take your pictures right here. Most were attracted to guava. This is interesting. This was on Shakashakari Island. So Shakashakari, when you think about Shakashakari, it's very dry, and you don't think it have a lot of fruits and whatnot. But you can see this is kind of like a wild tomato, so a very small solanum. And the moths were just going crazy on the plant itself. And to make it easy for me to photograph, I just plucked plucked off the fruits, crushed them up, put them on the leaf, and I observed what came to it and was able to photograph. And it was a lot like you would literally, the fruit will be dry when they're done with it, which is something I rarely see. Right? Moths attracted to diseased grass inflorescence. This observation was first made in 2020 by myself. The fungus is suspected to be Claviceps paspali, a species widespread in North and South America, but not previously known from Trinidad and Tobago, which kind of surprised me because this was a real common occurrence in the most disturbed areas, like side of the road, you would see these moths on the grass, and grass isn't uh, pollinated or anything; it's a wind disperser. So you can see over here. A result of the infection is the production of a sugary exudate, which is what you're kind of seeing on that one, is the most prominent kind of droplets, kind of shiny on the grass. And this is highly attractive to a wide variety of moth species, such as arabids, noctuids, and perlids. These observations are usually made in very disturbed areas and on the sides of the road where numerous grass species are present. So this is how the regular grass seed looks, and when it's infected, it gets dark like this. And if it's really bad, you get those drops of the sugary exudate. Yeah. All right. Louis, get to that. I feel like I see it, and that's why you say, did you taste it? All right. So actually, the fungus is what you would consider of medical importance because consumption of grass seeds and grains infected by species of the Claviceps fungus is associated with a list of medical conditions, including ergotism, which is, I guess, a neurological disease um, that you can see kind of demonstrated here. I think it needs to be studied further because I know we're growing rice, we're growing in Moruga rice, and we now revamped in the carne rice and stuff, and this is widespread. We don't know if it could possibly contaminate. I feel like some kind of mycologist or something had a look at this because it could potentially be a problem in my opinion. And again, it's very surprising because in 2020 is when we listed the fungus in Trinidad. Apparently, it wasn't recorded before that. This might be out of Jeffrey's range. Yeah, he like the pretty mushrooms. Yeah. All right, these are a couple pictures. So for this reason, I have never tried to take these grass and spread them or carry them to a forested area or something and try to attract more moths with it. I just see it, I take the pictures and whatnot. I don't want to play. If it's one thing with fungus, I don't play with fungus. We have the chytrid fungus, and then we have this. I don't want to cause any epidemics or anything. So and I don't suggest anybody do the same as well. Yeah. You'll see it. So like the carcass where you don't have too much, like in some areas where you don't have too much trees or whatnot, you'll get like a ton of grass growing on the side of the road. This is like a hotspot for the moths. And unlike the fruit baits, these are the pearl moths or the perlids. Then we have the cutworm moths, which are these two here, and arides as well. So it attracts a wider diversity than the fruits. Yeah.
Give us an ABC, like how much families are what must be estimated. So,
Matthew talked about this as estimated. Well, I wouldn't say estimated. He put like a prediction, 3,500 species of moths. In addition to something close to like 800 butterflies. So if you look at Lepidoptera on the whole, it's 43, going to 43. I only observe about 1,000 moths, a little more than 1,000 now, a couple hundred butterflies, So I just make a little dent on it so far, but
How many different families?
no, not the families. I don't know the families and stuff.
So out of the 1,000, how many do you have? Do you keep track of how many you've identified versus don't have identified? Because that's valuable data.
The more than 1,000 species I'm talking about is what we identified.
Right. Okay.
The
So
ones
that's
that
what
we,
you have.
yeah.
Well, that's a lot of records that have to be
Yeah,
for
there's
very
potential. Yeah. Yeah. All right. So we have moths attracted to Heliotropium indicum. Moths from the tribe Arctinae, which are usually referred to as tiger moths, the wasp mimic, that was one of the ones that could be attracted to this, are known to be attracted to plants that contain pyrrolizidine alkaloids. Heliotropium indicum is one of the more commonly used species, and butterflies from the tribe Itominae are also attracted. But I don't really focus on butterflies. I feel like we have enough people focusing on butterflies. So that is probably the only place you'll see the word butterflies in this whole presentation. This species can be found growing in waste and agricultural lands, and it appears to attract the most butterflies and moths 1 to 2 days after being harvested. So when you harvest the heliotropium, you usually leave it for 1 or 2 days to dry out in the sun or something. That is when it becomes the most potent. That is when the scent is like the highest. That is when it will start to attract the most. But it will start attracting as soon as it gets cut. So you could, if you live near a forested area and you have this, it's easy to just leave that for 3 days and just observe both day and night. You will get butterflies and moths coming to it. So you can be checking it regularly. Similar to fruit baiting, the Heliotropium works best in non-windy and flat areas. I tie them by the stems and just like let them hang from a branch at a height that I could comfortably photograph. And that is the only way I could get these photographs. Yeah. This is like a butterfly mimic. We have a lot of the day flying moths. They mimic insects that are also active in the day. So a lot of wasp and a lot of butterflies this family would mimic. Right, we have some more pictures. Again, another wasp mimic on that end. Um, and another wasp mimic on this on top here. This is probably one of my favorites. I wish I got a better macro photo of it because this was like blue. It's had a very Egyptian-like pattern. Scott, you were there when we were up in Chagaramas and we saw that it's something that I wish I could see again, but apparently Matthew said it's a very rare species. When Matthew say that, I don't know if he's emphasized, he's be like, see, this is the first one seen in like 100 years. I don't know if he's just made up to just motivate me to continue doing it or what. Yeah. But yeah, the tribe of the tiger moths is a really, the family of the tiger moths is really big. And I've probably observed more than 120 of them on the Heliotropium. Again, both night and day. You can see, like that one is in the daytime, this is in the daytime. This one is for Toko BioBlitz. Not the actual BioBlitz, but the lockdown BioBlitz, where they say go and choose your location and do it over. Yeah, and this is the first time I used it. I was really surprised how well it worked. Like as soon as you pull it out, these moths just start appearing out of nowhere and come into it. So this is a picture of the Heliotropium before it's dried. A lot of people mistake it for vervine, but it has this kind of weird snake-like inflorescence where the flowers come out from. And it doesn't grow year-round because it likes disturbed areas. So if a lot of grass grows back, you won't get it growing. What needs to happen is an area probably needs to burn where the seeds were, and then when rain falls, this will be one of the first plants to germinate and start to grow. that's the best time to go and get them. Like right now, I'm looking for them, and I struggle. I don't know. I was supposed to be cultivating them a long time ago, but probably, yeah. And this is probably not Heliotropium. So this is another plant in Moruga that was cut while they were cutting grass or something. When I now started out, so this was taken with a birding lens because I was actually birding. And you see butterflies, but you also see some moths here, two small moths. And because I was so bad at this whole naturalist thing, I never bothered to figure out what plant it was, but it was doing an exceptional job at attracting butterflies and moths during the day. And it wasn't the heliotropium, it was something else. Right, so light trapping for moths is probably the most conventionally used method. It works on the basis that moths and other insects use the moonlight to navigate, orientate their bodies, or escape from potential predators. This sometimes causes them to fly directly towards artificial light sources. So yeah, so from my observations, if I accidentally disturb a moth, it would take off and it would do that spiraling thing and just go straight up to the canopy and then probably land on a leaf on top there. Most moth species can be lured using the light trap method. However, methods such as fruit baiting and using the Heliotropium indicum generally attract more moths belonging to a particular family. So light trapping will attract all the families, but fruit baiting will attract more Arabids and litter moths and stuff. And the Heliotropium will attract a lot more of the tiger moths. Lights around houses in forested areas can attract many moths on a nightly basis. Searching for moths around these houses has resulted in many new records being discovered, especially recently in Tobago, where somebody decided to look for moths around their house every night and probably has found over 100 new species. I'm not even joking. Over 100 species of new moths for Tobago by just going outside and looking around. I wish I could be so lucky. I live in Waterloo. I don't see one thing by the lights over there. So up to now, he's still going out, and I'm pretty sure we'll be doing another. Matthew will compile another new moths for Tobago, and he will be there top of the list for observers. I just go Tobago once or twice, and I just real struggle. Deep in the forest of Guayguayari, a single large spotlight could potentially attract thousands of moths at night. I've seen this for myself. It's probably the most efficient method of observing moths. Like, yeah, I could get a couple, like 50 moths or something by fruit bait and the heliotropium. And if I put a light sheet out, probably 100 moths or so might come for the most. But one of those big spotlights, security spotlights in Guayguayari, and I was covered like head to toe in moths. They were like all over the place. It was kind of insane. And we were there for like 2-3 hours on a nightly basis. Now I would probably go out and observe like 5 moths that I've never seen before. And that one night I observed like 50 plus moths that I've never seen before. And that was one night. So I can imagine if you do that continuously, you would probably observe another 1,000 easily in a year time or something like that. I wish that we could find some way to utilize these lights in these forested areas that the oil companies work on, not just for observing moths, but for collection, because a lot of these moths are going to die at those lights. Because moths, when they see lights, they kind of go crazy, bang into them, and then if the lights remain on till the morning, they'll just remain in that area. When it turns off, there's a big feeding frenzy in the morning with regards to predators. Birds just coming on, just like feasting. So the birds going up and the moths going down. And if you leave this in an area, the moths will decrease in the area over time because of this constantly coming and dying off at the spots. And I say in thousands is really thousands of moths you'd see coming. So if we could find a way to go out even once a month or something to these areas and just collect specimens as well that we know we can identify. That would take off a lot of pressure from me having to go and do that by myself because I don't like collecting. I don't even collect moths and things. So for me, when I go out, I just use 2 UV lamps and a white sheet to go and look for moths. This works best in high elevation areas. Again, you want to kind of mimic the moonlight. So if you do it in a flat area, that's not very moody. You wanna go high, and you want those moths to be seeing it, like if they see in the moonlight. So you can't do this in flat areas at all. You need to do it. It works best in like the northern range, but Guaya has a lot of hills, so it ends up working the same way in Guaya. Um, the thing is that it's usually very windy. So when I go with my sheet, sometimes my sheet is just, oh, it's a bed sheet I've been using by the way. Um, you'll see the pictures just now, it's just a bed sheet. Yeah. So if you didn't want to just bring a bed sheet to demonstrate, I don't know. Yeah. So probably a more sturdier material could be used to attract moths in those areas because the wind is real pick up it. And we have some more pictures here. Again, there's just two of my bed sheets. One of them have a hole and thing. When my mother buy a white sheet, she's be like, this is not to go on you so much. She'll emphasize that. Like, yeah. Yeah, so when the UV light hits the white sheet, it reflects really, really, really brightly. Like we're not supposed to look at that because there's the UV rays and whatnot. It could be harmful for your eyes, so you want to set up the sheet and you want to check it like every hour or so. You definitely just don't want to be staring at that UV light or the rays reflecting off that. But even though I do this on a very small scale, which is just a bed sheet, and if you have to work with a generator and thing, you might get a good bit done manageable. Because when it in Guayavarian, it's let's do this in a kind of way. I remember I carry a sheet once, and like trying to stick a piece of wood and for the bed sheet and whatnot. Working, but you're also lazy. And you say, as you come up with a contraption to walk with two pipes, looking for a piece of stick to cut and yeah. Other research with regards to the night walks and whatnot is this spider feeding on guava, which was unexpected. When you think about spiders, you think about them as the insectivores, and some of them could prey on bigger items like birds and whatnot. Um, Shaquille was here for that. George, I don't know if you want to add anything or what are your thoughts on that when you first saw it? Because when I first saw it, I'll admit, spiders are very smart. When I put on my mud sheet, them spiders just appear out of nowhere and just wait for the muds to hit the ground. They all come from all over the place. I just have to like pitch them. I don't play that. I don't play that. I'll fight them. So when I saw the spider by the guava, I thought it was waiting because it knew probably moths or insects were gonna come to the fruit bait. But I sent George to investigate because George was a bit in spider feeding on the guava. Yeah, George.
After that, new everything in terms of practice feeding on things and stuff. And it could be, I think one researcher said the reason for that is that it helps them. For example, sometimes might be difficult, but he had, uh, he had some limbs missing.
Yeah, Mr.
Yeah, like five. And I actually saw some species in big. I should try this again. And I did put some guava by it. So anytime you see one of these parasites, you could try it and see if you could to me, spiders eating fruits. So it was the first instance of a huntsman spider feeding on fermenting fruit. So it was still a very significant. Another one. Oh gosh, I said I wasn't mentioning butterflies again, but I forget about this one. So records of meteors were observed while night walks. Maraj also made observation of them in the day. So I get to see both male and female, and it turned out that in this 4 records night, and that means I may be doing this. We have a possible period, but also it was for a whole lot of different. It's all very new. This one, this will be coming to the end of it. There, and the questions.